Before we start today's episode, a quick trigger warning. This episode contains historical violence, which may not be suitable for all listeners. Hello, and welcome to Mr. Johnson's Time Machine, the podcast that lets you listen to history. I'm your host, Rory McBain, and I'm joined, of course, as always, by the inventor of Mr. Johnson's Time Machine, Mr. J. John Johnson. Welcome.
Thank you again, Rory, for having me. It's an honor to share this technology with the listeners, of whom there are many, apparently. I am absolutely flabbergasted, if I may use a dead word.
I think you can use that word, and I'll tell you what, I'm equally flummoxed, if you will.
Oh, my.
Because you folks, even though we haven't requested it, have been sending in a flood of letters, and we thank you for the letters, those letters that were not threatening, which was, for the most part, most of the letters.
Look, you have to expect you're going to get some threats, especially when you're working with technology like this.
I guess so.
What I was shocked by was the level of love that came. The threats I expect, and some of them, trust me, I take on all comers.
Okay, well, some of them we've sent on to the authorities, but that's not for here or there. We're here to talk about the letters that we are going to read that are appropriate, and hopefully we can answer some of your questions about history.
Or the technology. I'm open to it.
That's
I'm open
right.
to, I consider myself a teacher.
There we go. Well, you've taught me a lot, and that's a wonderful lead into our first question. So why don't we just get right into it? Our first question is from Thomas Marshall in New Haven, Connecticut. And the letter reads, if we're listening to actual conversations from history, why is it that they are always in English? I'm pretty sure the builders of Stonehenge weren't speaking English. Okay, a little bit of a snark in that letter there, Thomas, but you bring up a great point. The people at Stonehenge, although I will point out it was in England, so anything they're speaking there is kind
whatever
of English,
language
right?
was being spoken there.
It was the English of the time.
English of the day.
But of course, it wasn't the English of our day. So why are you hearing everything in English? Well, I'll hand it off to you, Mr. Johnson.
We're very fortunate at Mr. Johnson and the Johnson family of products to have an artificial intelligence program of our own, and I was able to use it in conjunction with the radio telescope, and voila, which means there it is.
So the AI translated the languages into English for us, and that's your answer.
That's the only answer. Yes, but luckily we are able to maintain the timbre and the tone of the voice, so you're still getting the actual voice. It's just speaking a different language.
But the emotion is the important thing, and that's what shines through.
That's what's really there. That's what I'm all about.
All right, I think it's your turn for a letter. Mr.
Okay, I've got a letter here. All right, this comes from Mikey Edwards, 46 years old. Odd that a grown man calls himself Mikey.
Well, probably his whole life.
Shares his age with us.
Whatever you're called, I'm fine with that.
Sure, absolutely. Dear Dr. Johnson. Okay. We have the ability to screen the letters that you're going to hand to me. If there's one that says fucking doctor, you just don't have to give it to me.
Okay.
It feels like I'm being picked on. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm being teased. I'm not going to finish this letter.
Oh, all right. Well, sorry about that, Mikey.
Contractually, I met the obligation to read viewer mail.
You did read the mail. You didn't answer it, but that's fine. Okay, let's move on to another letter then. This one's, Dear Rory. Okay, that's for me. I'm a high school student and had to do a paper on the Dust Bowl. I was really having trouble with it until I discovered your program and saw that you had an episode on the Dust Bowl.
You are welcome.
Yes, excited. I listened to the entire episode and based my entire paper on the incidents therein. After turning in my paper, my teacher promptly gave me an F. Thanks for nothing. Your time machine is more like a waste of time machine. Why did you go to the trouble to travel back in history if the events in history you're traveling back to don't matter? Pissed offedly, Bryce with an F in history. Okay, well,
fuck off, Bryce.
No, Bryce. Well, here's the thing. First of all, it's a slice of history, and so for you to base your entire paper on that's a little bit on you, Bryce. Regardless, every moment, Bryce, in history is important. So don't say we're traveling back to things that don't matter, because what if we got back to the point where your great-grandparents conceived your grandparents? Does that matter, Bryce?
Then I would wish it was a time machine, because we don't need idiots like Bryce.
Well, we don't need to do that. This might be a good time for a commercial. Yeah. A few weeks ago, my grandmother passed away.
Jesus, Rory, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's part of the end. It wasn't a surprise. She was 95 years old. What was a surprise was how much fun I had at her funeral. That's because my family chose to bury Granny in Mr. Johnson's disco coffin. This mirror-lined coffin with Bluetooth speakers turned my grandmother's dreary funeral into a freak-out dance party, using 12 lithium batteries to send thousands of volts of electricity through my dead grandmother's corpse, Mr. Johnson's disco coffin had her cadaver jumping out of the coffin and onto the dance floor, shimmying across the room to some of the most iconic disco dances of all time. I watched my dead grandma do the hustle, the funky chicken, and John Travolta's entire dance routine from Saturday Night Fever. And if that's not your bag, Mr. Johnson's disco coffin is programmed with over 300 other dance routines. So grab your Coke spoon and put on your boogie shoes, because Grandma isn't dead. She's staying alive with Mr. Johnson's disco coffin. Batteries, boogie shoes, and cocaine spoons sold separately. Mr. Johnson's disco coffin is available at your local U.S. Post Office.
Mr. Johnson's family products.
Welcome back to Mr. Johnson's Time Machine. This is our Letters from Listeners episode, and we thank you so much for sending these many letters in. And why don't we just keep it going? You've got a letter there, Mr. Johnson. Why don't you read it out?
Yeah, this one came in through email. Dear Comrade Johnson, we are interested in your technology and would like to speak further with you about it. There's no punctuation and nothing is capitalized.
Okay.
Sincerely, People's Republic of China. I don't know if this is serious or not. This seems like...
Is there a letter?
There's an attachment here. There's an attachment. 2 tickets to Beijing, one way.
And we've also gotten similar letters from, I believe, Turkey and North Korea.
This is not something we should be talking about.
No,
on the
we
podcast.
probably, this is, yeah.
Although I'll tell you something, Angel's going to be very excited about going to China.
2 things. First of all, I think the tickets were probably for you and I, but
It didn't say, Dear Comrade Johnson, an annoying sidekick.
well, it didn't say and guest of your choosing either. To me, it's a little ominous that they wouldn't offer a return trip. Let's just move on.
I've been in stickier situations than anything China could throw at me.
For the record, I have not and do not wish to. Let's just move on. I'll do a letter. All right, this letter is unsigned, but we'll still read it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So daring.
Yeah. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I recently became aware of a conspiracy theory regarding the true nature of Lincoln's assassination. Some say that Lincoln didn't even attend the theater that night and was already dead. I don't know where to start on this, but as a history professor, a few, let's say, weird ideas and conspiracy theories have come across my purview over the years. This one I have never heard. While it might be a little dicey, I think this might be an opportunity that we can actually answer a question using the technology.
Absolutely. I can get us there. I mean, we're talking Ford's Theater.
Yep, Ford's Theater.
Evening, April 14th, 1865.
That's correct. Again, because we're dealing with a tragic situation, I should mention that we don't know exactly where we're going to come in on this, but just be sensitive, listeners, because we all know what was purported to happen, at least at this time.
All right, here we go.
Are you going in?
We're going in.
All right.
I hope you have a wonderful evening. I'll just take your ticket.
I will give you a ticket in just a moment, but I just wanted to let you know I do not have a ticket.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm so sorry. I guess you're gonna miss this one then.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
If I say my name, perhaps that will stun you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm ready to be stunned.
John Wilkes. You finish it?
Would like to see the play.
I would, that is true. John Wilkes Booth is my name.
Oh.
I'm probably on the list. Booth.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. I'll check the list. Booth. Yes, here you are, Edwin.
That's my brother.
Okay. It sounds like there's a lot to that.
Where we have a contentious relationship.
Yeah. I get it. I have a sister who every time we have any sort of gathering, we have the family over, she just criticizes me constantly. It drives me nuts.
Oh, see, so you know both of us are connecting on our disdain for our sibling.
Okay, well...
Okay, I would like a complimentary ticket. I don't need a seat. I will stand behind people somewhere in the shadows for a moment. I probably won't even stay for the whole performance. Okay, can I go in, please?
Well, first of all, what an odd way to take in a play. I guess what's the worst that could happen? Get in there.
Everybody, I'm Edwin Booth.
Okay. Everyone else has gone in. The show's starting.
Okay, well, we've established the attendance of John Wilkes Booth. Which
Certainly, no doubt that we've found the right place. It
Yes.
seems we're in one of those places where we're kind of adjacent.
Well, it's funny because same thing happened on the Gettysburg Address. I guess when Lincoln's involved, somehow you're just a little bit off. Yeah, I mean, you did pretty good. You did as good as you could.
Wow. Wow.
Again, maybe we'll just avoid Lincoln. Maybe Lincoln has an aura where we can't quite get what we're looking for
Okay.
there. But we know John Wilkes Booth was there, and I do know that John and Edwin, they did have a relationship fraught with tension.
Well, who wouldn't be mad at their brother if they go to a play and their brother's on the list and they're not?
And they're
I mean,
not.
that would be
Right.
enough.
Especially if you're an
right
actor,
there.
and the actors are very emotional.
Oh,
from what I understand.
yes.
Well,
Very
maybe
temperamental.
can we get back in there and just see if we can.
Let's try it here. Let's
we
see
go.
what we get.
Sic semper tyrannis.
I feel totally vindicated. I have no doubts in my technology or my abilities. I was a bit shaken for a moment, but
I think
I'm over it now.
circumstantially, you've won the case, but it could have been better evidence. Still, well, odds are we just listened to the assassination of Lincoln. We can't be 100% sure, obviously, I guess, with this conspiracy theory and the fact that we didn't hear his voice. I guess if you want to take the conspiracy theory far, you could say that they put in a patsy for Lincoln there and shot him too.
Sure, it was
but
probably
Lincoln was already.
pumpkin on a mannequin.
I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm simply leaving.
You're simply stoking the flames of ignorance that this country is suffering under right now. I won't have it.
I think you have a letter up next.
Dear Rory, I've noticed that you and Dr. Johnson are fighting all the time.
Thank you for continuing to
Yeah,
read through
it
that.
doesn't have to be this way, and it's really quite unpleasant to listen to. I have a degree in conflict resolution. I guess they'll give you a degree in anything now. And I'd like to give you a few pointers on how to resolve your conflict.
Oh.
Tip number 1, make eye contact. We're always looking. That's part of the problem.
Actually, yes. Mr. Johnson kind of holds your eye contact for a bit. It's
Oh, that you say it
disconcerting.
like it's a bad thing.
I don't
Tip number 2, find common ground. When I was working as a Subway sandwich artist, good God,
Before they got a degree,
this
I
is what's
suppose.
wrong with this country.
What
I
do you
was
mean?
having a conflict with a work colleague, but then we realized that we both like to practice tantric sex.
How
All
do you-
right, here
how
we
do you-
go.
How does that come up?
Told you, it gets nice. After sharing tips and techniques about the secrets to a 12-hour orgasm, we were able to put our differences aside and work together. It even led to a brief romantic affair where I spent an 8-hour day enjoying his $5 foot long.
Okay.
I don't understand that part.
Really?
Tip number 3, look beneath the surface to identify deeper issues. There seems to be some friction over the fact that Dr. Johnson is a competent scientist, who has invented a machine to travel back in time, and Rory is more of an out-of-work game show host whose main skill areas seem to be smiling.
Okay.
Explore different ways to communicate. As Rory is obviously intellectually inferior to Dr. Johnson,
Okay.
perhaps Dr. Johnson could talk slower and use smaller words so Rory could understand. In turn, if Rory gets confused, he could always direct conversation to lighter, simpler topics like sports or ice cream flavors. Hopefully, these tips helped. I look forward to seeing less conflict and more agreement. Nicole Majors, PhD. Oh,
Did you write this? All right, why don't I just jump into another letter here? Okay, dear Rory, my grandfather is from Ireland, and he's always yelling at me that I got it easy. He says his grandfather grew up during the Irish potato famine and nearly starved to death. Well, boo-hoo, Grandpa, a famine is nothing. Try being a teenager today. I'm allergic to gluten, dairy, and nuts. I even look at a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I'm reaching for the EpiPen. I mean, I'd take a famine over my problems any day of the week. Great-granddad didn't have food, but I don't think his ex-girlfriend texted a picture of his penis to everyone in the school. I think starving to death sounds a lot more fun than revenge porn. I mean, there wasn't anything to eat in Ireland. They have rivers, don't they? Have you ever heard of fishing? I'm hoping that you can use your time machine to show that this great Irish potato famine was a big fat myth so I can tell Grandpa to stick it where the sun don't shine. Sincerely, Sean O'Brien, Chicago, Illinois. Well, okay. I think that we should respect the elderly for their knowledge and what they've gone through. I believe the famine was a real thing.
yeah, absolutely.
Why don't we, if we can, we have the dates. And
We
the times.
can.
And
1846, let's go for.
That's great. So let's have a listen, and
Time of
hopefully we
day
can.
on something this far back. Let's
That's,
give it a
you
shot.
know, I'm sure if they were hungry all day.
Oh,
What?
don't ask me what's for dinner. Just don't ask.
All right.
I found some mouldy bread, and that's what we're having. Think of the mould as some type of protein.
That's cheese, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, husband. It's cheese. Now eat your dang cheese.
What about a side?
Cut the cheese in half. Put half of it on the side of the plate.
Oh, I'm cutting the cheese now, am I?
So I think that pretty conclusively proves the famine. Old bread.
Yeah, this is not the first day they were struggling for food.
Nah, there was tension in there. So to the letter writer, I think we've proven conclusively there was a famine. There was a lot in there. Boy, I will say, for just grabbing a random slice of life.
You're going to learn a lot more from the common folk than you are from a history book. I'll tell you that.
That had it all. It's stuff that's throughout history.
Sure did. It's a kind of embarrassing how often people talk about flatulence.
As far as they know, they're talking farts on their own.
In other words, when no one's listening to us, that's what we're talking about.
I can't say that. I don't want to really reveal anything about that, but I thought that was very interesting, and it turns out that even when people are hungry, they're farting.
Well, we found that out, didn't we?
We sure did. It's another theme: Lincoln and farts.
Yeah, there you go. Everything just seems to be kind of coming together here. I think it's because of the listener letters. Which reminds me.
Let's do another.
All right, I'll read this one.
Yeah.
Dear Mr. Johnson, I'm a 49-year-old man and a passionate fan of Taylor Swift. Why?
Okay.
Don't worry, it's nothing creepy or sexual. I just enjoy her music. I wasn't even thinking it was creepy.
Yeah, if you folks, just in the future with letter writing, if you kind of put something like that in, now you've put that in our heads.
So the letter continues. Of course, my wife doesn't understand. This guy's married.
Okay.
But haters gonna hate. That's in quotations.
I think that's a Taylor Swift lyric.
Okay, but haters gonna hate, right? Anyway, I have some, again, quotes, bad blood with Ticketmaster. Thanks to their awful website, I was unable to get tickets to Tay-Tay's latest concert. I did everything I could to procure them. Secondary markets, radio contest. I was so desperate. This person needs a friend. I even slept with a sweaty roadie. What?
He's
Who promised the
married
backstage passes. This is a married man. I'm not even gay, he says. Well, thank you for sharing that. Not that you'd have to be gay just to have a fun night with a roadie. Nothing worked. Now I'm unable to see my favorite pop star in the flesh. See, a word like flesh from this person turns my stomach.
Well, is that in quotes?
No.
Okay.
I know I should just, quote, shake it off.
Now that's definitely a lyric.
But I can't. Yours truly, Sebastian Swift, not my real name.
What are they asking? How did this letter get into our...
That's the end of the letter.
What?
Yeah, I think next time we screen a little better.
All right. I've got a question here. Hey guys, enjoying the podcast, but I notice you haven't gone into any Asian history at this point. Is there a reason for this? This was Pam. Well, Pam, we've only done a few episodes, first of all.
Yeah, we can't cover the whole world in 3 episodes.
But in some of our preliminary exercises before we started recording, we mentioned the AI earlier in the episode. Why don't you explain?
Look, there's really no other way to put this. AI is inherently racist.
Because it's based on humanity.
Yeah, it's based on humanity. People are inherently racist. So all of our translations of any Asian history that we attempted to procure, to this point anyway, have come back severely racist. Yeah, so we're not going to be sharing those with you.
The AI has not quite perfected a racist version to deliver that.
Yeah, let's say it's stuck somewhere in 16 Candles.
There you go. And so I think that explains. We are working on that, by the way, because there's so much history we want to get into.
Yeah, we want to be able to go everywhere
but AI
without offending anybody.
That's a problem with AI.
Yeah.
At this point.
Thank you for that question. Here's our next letter.
Okay. This one, here we go. Dear Rory. Oh, I guess this one's for me. I'm a great appreciator of history, and I think your show is one of the best things I've ever heard. Well, thank you. The reason I'm writing is to relay a childhood trauma that I'm hoping your program can address. When I was a young boy growing up in Dallas, my parents took me out of school to see President Kennedy visit our great state of Texas. So I think I see where this is going. I didn't want to go, but my parents said there would be ice cream, so I quickly acquiesced. As the president's motorcade wound through Elm Street, my father said, "There's President Kennedy, a smart man with a good head on his shoulders." Seconds later, Lee Harvey Oswald done him dirty from the window of the book depository. Dad never did buy me ice cream, but ever since that day I witnessed the assassination of President Kennedy, my life's been on a rocky road. I've been haunted and scarred by the grotesque spectacle of our fallen president for years, not to mention the lurid innuendo and conspiracy theories that seem to come out to tarnish the reputation of this great man. Magic bullets, second shooters on the grassy knoll, Fidel Castro's frogmen, I'm sick of it all. Just once I'd like to hear a positive story about Jack Kennedy, something that tugs at the heartstrings and shows the depth of this intelligent and beautiful soul. Sincerely, Nolan Burnett, Dallas, Texas. In a way, he was way ahead of us on this show of getting to see history as it was happening.
Yeah.
Not the way he would want to, I guess.
No, but you know what, Nolan? You get what you get, and you don't get upset in this life. Some people were at Woodstock. Some people watch Kennedy die.
Okay, I mean, I think we can try to figure this out.
So it's shortly after Easter, 1962.
Okay, so we're just going to take you into the White House,
Okay.
and Jack and his family enjoying a day, and hopefully this can heal the wounds for you, Nolan.
I'm just shivering to be in here.
Yes, this is quite a bedroom. Lincoln bedroom is my favorite bedroom in the entire White House.
Was it hard for him to play golf after he was shot? I always wondered.
I'm pretty sure it was hard for him to play golf at all
Yeah.
during the Civil War.
Oh, yeah, I bet all the courses were closed.
Yes, over here is the presidential picture of Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my gosh, look how tall he is. He's so ugly. And you can see by the portraits, they tried to make him look nice, but his hideousness shines through.
But look at those cheekbones.
But the rest of his face. I mean, I love him, don't get me wrong. I love him. He was a wonderful president, and I'm honored to be in this room. He did so much for our country. Look at this. Is this the Emancipation Proclamation?
Yes, it's we're using it as a coaster
Why?
because we can.
It's such an important piece of history. I feel like putting something on it right now.
Please do. Perhaps that gin and tonic you're holding.
Oh, sure. Wow. I just put a gin and tonic on the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, it turns you on, doesn't it?
Yes?
Why your clothes still on? You took them off already? I missed it? Damn it. Fucking Lincoln. You should have warned me you were taking them off.
Well, warning, I'm going to take my clothes off.
Well, I missed the first time. I'm
can't-
very disappointed in you, Miss Monroe.
What did I do?
You did not tell me you were taking your clothes off.
Well, you were looking around the room for mimeographs and you weren't paying attention.
Well, there's a
and I
lot of
did it
interesting
quickly.
objects in this room. It's historical.
Well, it is. I know that.
Well, look at this over here. There's this right here is Lincoln's beard trimmer.
It looks rather worn.
Don't act like you're interested. I'm angry. I'm incensed.
I'm apologetic.
Ich bin ein incensed.
I don't speak any languages.
You're speaking one right now.
Well, it's the only one I know, and it's not like someone taught me.
Oh, why do you talk? This is a horrible date.
Right off the top, apologies. I guess you lost the signal there for a second.
Yeah, that
but
happens.
we got it
the
back.
the
Okay.
signal will dip in and out. Unfortunately, it sounds like we missed something exciting.
What we still had was plenty of exciting, and to our letter writer, I don't know necessarily that this was what you were looking for, but let's look at the bright side. Is that we found some real history there.
At least we hit the correct location. We've got, and the irony too, the Lincoln bedroom.
We cannot escape Lincoln.
we
He's
cannot escape
everywhere.
Lincoln.
It's just we're 100 years away, and he's still impacting history.
in ways that we don't expect. Perhaps there's a larger connection here. We just have to keep listening.
Of course, I believe that Marilyn, Miss Monroe,
Sure, sounds like it.
that had to be her, another huge figure through history. And
I guess we picked the wrong weekend. He wasn't exactly playing with the kids.
No, but we did solve a mystery. They at least went on a date, so to speak.
Yeah, and we solved the mystery of what you can do with the Emancipation Proclamation. Apparently, that was shocking.
It was a little disrespectful, honestly.
Yeah, I would say very much so, especially to respond that, well, we do it because we can.
Well, I believe that echoes his speech about going into space. We're not doing it because it's easy. We're doing it that.
Yeah.
I don't really remember. We could go back and listen to the speech. The point is that we don't know what we're going to find out. I hope that didn't damage this person who's already suffered some trauma.
Chance they're not even alive since sending the letter. I mean, let's be honest.
No, that's not. We're not going to assume that the letter writers have died in the interim between them writing the letter. That's
It's the only
like
way to
2
live.
weeks.
It's the only way to live, one day at a time. You can't live in the past. You can't live in the future.
You know, I think that's a good line as any to go out on. Folks, we appreciate your letters. We plan to continue bringing you slices of history using this great technology. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors, which is Mr. Johnson's family of products, including Mr. Johnson's Disco Coffin, Mr. Johnson's Ukulele Detector, and one of the newest products in the Mr. Johnson family, Mr. Johnson's Club Sandwich Flavored Club Soda. You can find it in the refrigerated section of your U.S. Post Office.
Thank you, Postmaster DeJoy. Mr. Johnson would like to extend a special thank you to all our participating consultants: Robert Janis, Frank Caetti, Molly Erdman, Megan Grano, Martin Garcia, Rich and Rebecca Sohn, and Eddie Furman. Just a quick reminder, by listening this far into the podcast, you hereby waive your right to take legal action for any harms caused by this podcast, the Mr. Johnson Company, or any of the Mr. Johnson products. Thank you for your support.
Mr. Johnson's family products.